Watching sunrise meets my skin, even with my eyes still closed.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm happy you're here today. If you're new, my name is Jen, and today we're gonna be doing a little bit of summer decorating in my kitchen. I had a lot of color for the spring season and I kind of got overwhelmed by it, so I'm ready to tone things down to a little bit more of a neutral look. I love green, and I have these beautiful green bar stools that are new to me from Day Lane, and I thought I would work around those because I really want the opportunity to bring in those beautiful moody greens but not be dark for the summer season. I want things to be light and soft and airy. So last week, you guys that have been following along may already know that we took a trip to Hobby Lobby and we did a little bit of shopping. I was looking for some summer inspiration for the kitchen and basically just overall in the whole house. And I did have a few finds. Some of you guys saw that I picked up this clearance beautiful picture. Actually, it was only $2.99, and that is the exact green that I was hoping to find. I couldn't believe I got such a great deal on this, but I really love the frame too. I think gold and green is a beautiful color combination. It was actually my color combination in my wedding many years ago, and I've always loved the look of gold and green. I think it's elegant, and so when I came across this for $2.99, I thought this would be perfect. In store, I actually didn't realize just how green it was. It had a little bit more of a darker look, and I thought it was more of almost like a light, like a soft black, or like a charcoal. And I was actually very happy when I came home and saw that it was green, because it's actually the perfect green to go with the bar stools and a lot of the greens that I'll be using throughout the house for the summer season. Now, I also picked up, and this was not a Hobby Lobby find, which is why you didn't see it in store, but I picked up this light on Amazon, and I plan on using this in my kitchen. It is a battery powered light, so it has a little touch on the bottom. This little button here changes the light, and I love the idea of having a battery powered lamp in the kitchen. I've always been a fan of lamps in the kitchen. If you've been watching me for a while, you know that I almost always do have one, but I thought this was a little bit of a different look because it does have this sort of pedestal base, which is completely different than what I've ever used in the past. And I like the idea that it's wireless. You guys, I hate the cords. I know so many of you guys struggle with cords, and I do too. I hate seeing cords. They are a necessity because, you know, everything is electrified, so, you know, you have to plug it in. But boy, if you can eliminate cords in the kitchen, I definitely recommend being able to do that. And this is actually something that I plan to maybe use in other areas of the house as well, but I have an idea for where I want to use it, at least for the summer in the kitchen. Now, the next thing I picked up, and I actually did already have some of these, but I picked up a few more because I just love these. I think they're just so beautiful for the summer season. It's these beautiful white cosmos. They're soft looking, and I love the movement in the stems. They have just sort of this wispy wildflower look, and it's very easy to style these. I do struggle with arranging faux florals just because I feel like I can never get them in the configuration that I want. But with these, it's really easy because they are designed to have that wild growing shape to them, and so I do like that. They were $4 because I picked them up on sale at Hobby Lobby. Sorry guys, they were $4 because I picked them up on sale at Hobby Lobby. The regular price is $6.99, but a lot of you guys already know that every other week the floral section is 40% off. So definitely recommend picking these up when they're on sale. I only picked up 2 stems because I had a bunch of them already. I just needed a few more to tuck them in, you know, areas that I didn't have enough to do so, especially with the way I'm wanting to style the kitchen this summer. So I grabbed 2 of these, and then I love this scalloped tray. Now, you guys heard me say in the video last week that I actually already have one, and I do. I actually have it on my coffee table back there, but I wanted this one also. That might be a little bit overboard. A lot of people might be thinking that's ridiculous, but the price was so good. It was only $11.99, and I knew I wanted to use this in my kitchen, and I like the idea of having similar items kind of placed around the house. I have an open floor plan. My house is very small, but because it's an open floor plan, being able to repeat elements from room to room really brings the look together. And so for $11.99, I thought this was a really great deal and something that I'll be able to maybe use upstairs in my bedroom in the future. But for right now, I absolutely know where I'm going to be putting this one, and I just love the look of it. I mean, scallops are so adorable to create movement and softness, and in the kitchen, because I have a white kitchen, and you guys will see when we do some decorating here in a moment, Everything is white, and then I have granite for the countertop. So it's almost cold and feels sterile. So being able to bring in wicker or any sort of textured elements, and especially these scalloped curved edges, really does help soften the look a little bit and bring a little bit more of that warm, welcoming feel into a cold, sterile kitchen. So if you have a white kitchen, I definitely recommend picking up some items that will bring in texture, bring in warmth, and bring in curves. You will love the way it looks in your white kitchen. So that's it for the haul. We're gonna be doing a little bit of kitchen decorating today. So let's get started with the decorating. So there's not a lot of cleaning to be done. I just want to wipe down the countertops very quickly, and then we'll get started adding in some kitchen decor.
Appalachian sunrise meets my skin.
And then I'm gonna move over here to the side of my refrigerator. I picked up these magnetic curtain rods on Amazon recently, and I have been loving being able to use it on the side of my refrigerator. It adds so much interest and texture here to this just functional utilitarian spot of my kitchen, and I just really have been enjoying using it. If you wanna grab one, I'll go ahead and link it below in my Amazon storefront. So you guys, this is the tray that I want to use in this section. I love this tray. I picked this up at Walmart. If I can find the link for it, I will link it below. I love the warm wood tones, but what I really love about it is the fact that it has these almost antique brass, sort of gold looking handles on them. This would be great for serving. If you're big into entertaining, you could use this as a tray to serve drinks. But honestly, I want to use this as a way to sort of gather all of my items over here next to the refrigerator. Is kind of a dead space. I don't use this space. Most of my food prep is done on the island. So I'm gonna go big over here and create a really big vignette, but I wanna use this to ground everything. So we're gonna start with this pitcher. This was a Hearth and Hand purchase either last year or the year before, but I really love it. It is stoneware, and I love the simplicity of one side, and then if you turn it around, it does have a little bit more interest. And then I'll add in a few of these Cosmo stems that we had spoken about earlier in the video. I love the way the white florals match with the green gingham. I think it brings a lot of softness and interest into this corner and just really livens it up.
The river by my son, feet step over splinters of the moon.
Now I'm gonna add in 4 green plates. I'm gonna use this as a riser. I like the idea of using kitchen items as decor because it looks so functional, but also it looks really pretty. And then on top of that, I'm going to add in this little white creamer along with some gold spoons just to tie in the gold of the handles on the tray. And then, of course, my beautiful green and gold picture in the back and some gold salt and pepper shakers. So now we're gonna work over here. This is my makeshift coffee area for now. I'm working on getting a new over-the-range microwave. That one doesn't work. It actually hasn't worked since Christmas. I have one that is a smaller one over in my actual coffee bar area. And until I get a new one of those, this is my coffee situation for now, but I think it'll work. I kind of like the idea of putting this wicker tray here next to the coffee maker, and then I have this really cute thrifted piece of art that I've been using throughout my house year after year for many years now. One of the things I love about thrifted art is that you actually can get a sense of history with it, which I really do love that. And when I found this one, it looks like it has some writing on here. It's hard to really make out what it says, except that it has a year on it. It says 1970, and it says given to mother in October 1970 by, and then it says the name of the artist, but I'm having a hard time reading it. But anyway, I thought this was really cool, a neat piece of history, and just an opportunity to bring in some unique pieces that are meaningful and vintage, but still sort of fit that summer theme. So I'm gonna use some command strips, and I'm gonna put this on the wall behind the wicker tray and kind of set up my decor around it. So once I get this on the wall, I'm adding this wicker tray, and then I do put this gingham hand towel in. I think it's a really cute cottage look. I did end up moving the towel though. It just felt a little too crowded. So I removed the hand towel. I ended up using it on the stove, and I think it ended up really pretty. And I love the way this combination works together with the gold and the wicker and the scalloped and just this little stoneware spoon dish. I think it's all really cute. Even without the gingham hand towel, it turned out really cute.
Once I can see it put back together, you could call it a vision or
On the opposite side of the stove, I love to use wooden cutting boards as a way to warm up the white backsplash. So I'm just layering a few different shapes in, and then I'm gonna come in also with my green Magnolia Table cookbook. I love the look of green in front of the wood cutting boards. I think that is such a pretty way to bring an earthy and sort of neutral look into the kitchen without going overboard with decor pieces. And then just a little wicker utensil holder and some wooden spoons. I've got an eyelet fabric piece. It's actually a table runner, which I thought was nice to bring in a pop of white along with this white candle, and this section is complete.
could call it a vision or all at once I can see it put back together. You could call it a vision. You could call it a vision. You could call it a vision. In the morning, when you walk away, my heart drops to the floor. They said it would get easier, but I don't know who for. Days move faster now, I swear. I can feel them slip away.
Now this is one of my favorite areas to decorate. I picked this brass rod up at Target in the spring, early in the spring, and I love having it here on the edge of my counter so that I can bring in some texture and some florals. This is right at my front entry, and so I love greeting guests with just this little unexpected, cute way to display decor items. And many of these are thrifted items. This little hanging basket was a thrift find. I love that it has a flat back. And then this ceramic pot with the copper band around it, I thought was perfect for the summer season. This is a cutting board that used to be pristine and perfect and new from the store, but I ended up just sanding it down. Actually, my husband did. And we just wore on it a little bit with, some tools and made it look old, almost like an old breadboard. And then we're just going to come in with a few pot holders for texture, and this area will be complete.
He left her slowly as his mind lost more every day. Quietly she walked beside and tended in her way. Now the bed he built for two is cold, but her memories have stayed. Because some things last forever, the love it never fades.
Once I purchased that brass rod for the entry, I decided to go ahead and get the towel bar as well. I love having it here as a way to just break up all of the white and bring in a little bit of softness with some hand towels.
A blanket of this
And here's a quick look at how everything turned out. I am loving my kitchen for the summer season.
between the bliss and underneath the ache. In the tenderness, a single thread remains. It's deeper than a sentiment. It's a fierce and holy rage. Some things last forever, but love it
welcome back to the channel. I'm happy that you're here today. My name is Jen if you're new, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of summer decorating in the dining room and in my living room. I've got some items here sort of gathered on the island. That way I can have a chance to see how the colors and the textures work together to make sure that I have a cohesive look before I start placing them. And if you guys are new and you haven't had a chance to see last week's video, we began in the kitchen and we're sort of carrying that earthy green summer theme all throughout the house. So I will link that video below if you have not seen it, but I'm excited to get started for today because I love green. It's my favorite color, and I love bringing in textures to make a soft but welcoming home. So if that's something you enjoy and you love decorating, you love thrifting, and you love anything that has to do with enjoying home, you are in the right place. Be sure and hit that like button and subscribe so that you will get a chance to see all of the future decorating fun that I've got coming your way. But just really quickly, let's turn around and take a look at some of the items that we have here on the island, and then we'll get started decorating. So you guys, this is what we're working with. This is the bulk of the items that I want to try to work together for the living room and for the dining room. I have many different combinations of florals and stems, and I like to just lay everything out here and kind of play around with it and see how it works together. Most of these items were items that I already had. A lot of these you had seen in previous either thrift hauls or shopping hauls. There's a few items here that I have had for a very long time that I want to reuse because I really do like them. But as you're looking at these items, you're seeing that most of the coloring that I'm going with is like greens, creams, maybe a little pop of yellow here and there. I really want to bring in that earthy, warm tone. So I have this wood box here from Hobby Lobby. This was a Amazon purchase. I believe I will link that below if I can still find that link for you guys, because this is one of my favorites. The watering can was a Target purchase a couple of years ago. All of the stems were either thrifted or from Hobby Lobby. Some thrifted items like this little cute creamer. This gold box was a Hobby Lobby find. Thrifted candle, thrifted terracotta garlic holder. This is that other scalloped tray that I had mentioned in a previous video, that I had two of them. This is the other one. I want to bring in some glass because I do think it's important in this, especially in the summer, to bring in items that are light and airy, and glass really does help to do that. I've got my DIY tortilla making bowl that I DIY'd into the Studio McGee dupe. So I'm going to try to work that in. I've got some items from Hobby Lobby here in the back, these baskets and the book box. And that was a thrifted vase, a thrifted basket, or I guess it's a handbag, some pillows, and this really pretty taupe apron. I like the coloring of it, and I think it's really nice and neutral for the summer season. So probably going to hang this on the side of my refrigerator, and just some odds and ends here to get things going. So this is what we're working with. So we're beginning with a clean slate today. Everything from spring has been removed. I did a good deep cleaning and dusting, and we are ready for decor. So we're going to start over here on my 9 drawer. I picked this vase up at Hobby Lobby and I absolutely love it. It is warm and the color is just perfect, and I love the statement that it makes with these rather large stems, and especially in front of the mirror. I think it creates a lot of really beautiful movement and sort of brings a little bit of life into this little corner of the living room. So I'm wanting to keep the decor on the actual top pretty simple. I'm coming in with just this book box and a picture frame, and then this yellow frosted glass candle is a perfect way to bring in that cheerful pop of summer color without going overboard. The bottom of the cabinet was lacking, and so I just put this scalloped tray here to add a little bit of movement and interest. And then we're moving over to the coffee table where we are using my favorite new tray. I want to create a little bit of height inside so that all of the decor that I put doesn't sort of sink down into the tray. And so I'm bringing in this glass vase. I have a little tip here. If you have faux flowers and you want to make them look real in a glass vase, Add some water. It doesn't harm the stems at all, but it really does create the illusion of the florals being a little bit more real looking. To the side of that, I'm going to add this little wooden box from Hobby Lobby. Picked this up a while back on clearance, and it is one of my favorite purchases. And that's going to do it for the coffee table. Let's take a look at how everything came together. Another favorite place of mine to decorate is this peg shelf, and this summer I want to keep things pretty simple here as well. The main color scheme is going to be warm neutrals, that way I can stay consistent with the rest of the decor in the house. And I'll be using wood, wicker, and some green and white stems to add a touch of fullness to the ends of the shelf. Over on my sliding door, a pop of green with this magnolia wreath from Decor Steels will help tie in with the eucalyptus stems on the peg shelf. I love my floor lamp here. The pleated shade gives just the right touch of cottage, but the base here beside the fireplace always looks like it's missing something. So I have this thrifted stool and lantern, and it looks cute, but I want to add a little more cottage vibe. So this wicker handbag and a few thrifted florals help to complete this space. For the mantle, I'm going to keep a simple look with these wicker boxes, which are perfect to hide my TV cords. And then I'm going to use a green book to add in a little bit of color and texture, as well as my DIY fluted bowl here on the left. And then I'll add some more books in a white textured bowl on the right side to add a little bit of interest. And finally, my brass box and candlestick will balance out the warm neutral metals and complete the look. I still have my dining table, and now that I see all of the warm neutrals around the house, I want to continue that simple summer style here on the centerpiece. A thrifted vase, some stems, and some neutral napkin holders, along with a pair of brass candlesticks, are the perfect way to complete that casual summer look. Over on my refrigerator, a thrifted piece of art and my apron are the perfect items to soften the sterile hard lines on the side of the refrigerator and pull a bit of that neutral warmth here beside my patio door. Alright guys, so we're going to move over to the hutch now. I wasn't planning on decorating this area, but it really did need to be dusted, and a lot of these items were already in the hutch, and I just wanted to bring them out and clean them up, so I thought I'd share them with you. I've got some thrifted books here, and I've got these. I ended up purchasing these. They're cast iron, and I believe they're door stoppers. I'm going to use them as bookends, but I wanted to show you guys that I did a technique on them where I take them with some black spray paint and some gold spray paint, and I saw this technique when I was watching Carrie Lynn's channel, and basically what you do is you spray it with black spray paint pretty heavily, and then before the black has a chance to dry, you spray over it with some gold, and what that does is it allows the two paint colors to sort of blend as they dry, and it creates a little bit more of an antiqued gold. I think these came out really pretty, and I cannot wait to see how they're going to look in the hutch. And then I've got a couple of my standard pieces, a wicker basket, a neutral napkin, my green and white ironstone plate, a few cake stands with glass domes. I think those are really pretty in front of the mirrored section of the hutch. And then of course, a few more white pitchers and some pottery, just, you know, things that I like to use season after season to keep things neutral, and just swap out a few of the pieces. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these back in the hutch and show you what it looks like.
Take me to the ruins, aquifers and springs, baby ferns uncurling, every living thing. Be to me a mother, both hands on the wheel.
I really love decorating this hutch. It is so fun to just change a few key pieces in the hutch and create a completely different look here. My front entry brings you into my kitchen, and so having this hutch here makes things feel a little bit more warm and welcoming. Plus, I really enjoy to display a lot of my thrifted items, and so this is a perfect place to do that, especially since my house is pretty small, and so having this vertical space to decorate is really fun.
You could call it a vision or a tether.
It may be hard to believe, but I actually got this hutch off of Facebook Marketplace for $30. They originally were asking $100 for it, but I think she was having a hard time selling it. So she just wanted rid of it, and I fell in love with the sliding doors and the color of the wood. I think it's perfect here in my house, and I have been loving it here ever since.
Laid out on your chest, student of abandon. With you I'm blessed.
And you guys know I love decorating on a budget, so a $30 hutch that looks this lovely was such a perfect find.
You could call it a vision or a tether. All at once I can see it put back together.
And I have that little stool there in the background. You can see it beside the hutch, and I always feel like that space is missing something. So I love adding some florals in just for a little bit of texture and interest beside the hutch. Coming in with this neutral arrangement that I put together, and I like to use a little glass inside a wide mouth vessel. It's nice to have a glass inside of the vessel. That way you can help the florals to stand up a little bit more and create a little bit more of a structured look. I love these florals here. And to finish off the look, I'm coming in with this thrifted chest set. The colors are perfect for the summer color scheme that I'm going with.
All at once in a dream, we are together. You could call it a vision or tether.
Now that I have my home ready for summer, I feel like it's time to start tackling some more projects. So be sure and subscribe so that you can see what my husband and I have been up to lately. And if you like this video, check out the next one by clicking above for more decorating fun. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm happy you're here today because we are taking things into the living room and dining room. Last week we brought some blue and white into the kitchen. I love how it turned out. If you haven't seen that video, I will link it below. But here on this channel, I love to change my decorations out for the season. Sometimes once, sometimes twice, depending on what season it is. And this season for the summer, I am loving bringing in the blue and white. Now, we're gonna be working in the living room and in the dining room. So we got a lot to do. Let's get started. Things are going to be very simplified for my summer decor. There's a light and airy feel that I want to create, and having over-complicated decor feels heavy and cluttered for the summer. So you'll see a recurring theme today with a lot of brass along with blue and white decor, and also some rattan or wicker for a laid-back summer feel. And I always love adding in family photos of the season that I'm decorating for. And this picture was taken in the Florida Keys at a wedding almost exactly 1 year ago. So we're ready to move into the dining room, and I've got some really beautiful blue and white place settings that I want to try to set up. Now, I've never done a tablescape before. I don't actually have all of the things you're supposed to have, but I do have a base plate, and I do have a couple of different items that I think will look really pretty together with the color scheme. I don't have silverware. I didn't run out and buy a whole bunch of items for this. I'm basically just using items that I either thrifted or already had, and a few items from Amazon. Anything that I did buy on Amazon, I will link it below if you're interested in trying to create a similar look. Now, this table is old, and so I'm going to start with a tablecloth, and because the table is so scuffed, I am looking for a replacement. I'm actually tossing around the idea of potentially getting rid of it altogether, but I really would like to find a small, round, sort of cute table that I could put here if I decide to keep one. I'll definitely thrift it, so you know it's gonna take a while because sometimes when you're looking for a certain item, it doesn't just surface right away when you're looking for it. But in the meantime, we're gonna make this work, and we're gonna use a tablecloth to do that. So these are the items that we're working with. This is that tablecloth that I was telling you about, and it is almost like a toile looking design, and it has a off-white, almost like a burlap coloring in the background. I like the idea of mixing off-white and bright white. I think that is a really pretty color combination that creates a little bit of depth. If you only have one type of white, I think the color scheme kind of falls flat. So we're gonna start off with that, and then of course these little pot holders that I picked up at Home Goods. I love the blue colors, the different color variations, and then just this white bowl. I've got an idea that I want to use this with these blue hydrangeas that I picked up at Walmart, and just create a very full looking centerpiece. And then I've got my blue willow set. Now this is just the small plates and bowls. I don't actually have the larger plates, but that's okay because again, I'm trying to create this blue and white mixed matched look here in the dining room. I've got these blue glasses that I did thrift. They were $1.18 each, and I thought they were a really pretty sort of traditional and classic look. I've got a couple of my favorite salt and pepper shakers, and then I'm gonna come in with this on top of my white base plate. I think this is a really nice pattern. One of the things that I'm trying to do is learn how to incorporate different types of patterns, and so I'm gonna give this a try and see. I think this taupe coloring is gonna go very nicely with the wood napkin rings and the sort of off-white coloring of the napkins and the tablecloth. So I'm gonna give that a try. And then the star of the show, these are my absolute favorite. I thrifted these years ago. These are the most pretty white German china. I got them for $1.18. They are absolutely gorgeous. I love them. And I'm gonna use these as the base. So this is gonna be a very simple setup on the table, but let's get started decorating and see how it turns out. Decorating is always so interesting to me because when I start an area, I always feel like it won't turn out well. But as more and more layers and textures are added on, it begins to feel right. I honestly wasn't sure about this combination of wood and blues with the varying patterns, but by the time I placed my last item, I really did love it. If you're decorating and you have a vision in mind, see it through before you abandon it. Sometimes things look worse before they look better.
Garden room, wings are beating, baby, me and you alone. Pencil drawing, phases of the moon, all through the stages, both becoming seen into. Slowly we take on.
Now that we have the mantle done, it's time to decorate the side here. I love this little section here because it's got my sliding door and it looks very cottage. I love this little light here, and the thing that I am most excited about is that this is where I've decided to use that ottoman. So many of you guys who saw my blue and white haul video told me in the comments that you could not wait to see how I was going to style that, and that is the thing that I have been most looking forward to sharing with you. So my ottoman is gonna go here beside the fireplace underneath this little lamp.
In the heavens, a billion signals move. Call and answer.
I love how cozy and cute this corner of my home turned out. This retro looking radio and the different textures really brought a vintage feel to the dining room.
Slowly we take on phosphorescence, vivid in the bond, phosphorescence.
Next, we're going to be working on my peg shelf. I came across this frame at HomeGoods on clearance for $8. I thought the brass was perfect for this look that I'm trying to use in my house. And I'm adding in some Mod Podge over top of a print that I found on Etsy. I thought this print was pretty cute with the ducks and it just had a cottagey feel, but I didn't like the glossy look of it. And a lot of you guys know the Mod Podge technique that helps you to make it look a little bit more matte, more like an oil painting. And when you put it back in the frame, just don't use the glass. That way you don't have any sort of reflection or gloss, and it just looks like a little bit closer to an oil painting.
twist tied together. Turning apart, so close together.
See, the Mod Podge dries very clear. It gives a little bit of texture and just creates a little bit more of a authentic looking print in the frame. Now we're going to come in with this Liberty Blue plate, and I wanted to just very quickly explain my idea here. Because the photo has some soft, sort of muted colors, I really wanted to contrast that with the dark, deep blue. And I'm just using 3 simple colors here, the soft greens and soft blues, along with the dark blue, and then a little bit of warm metallics to kind of fill in the gaps.
In the morning, when you walk away, my heart drops to the floor. They said it would get easier, but I don't know who for. Days move faster now, I swear. I can feel them slip away. But some things last forever. The love that never fades.
The next piece I'm going to work on is that tray that I had shared with you in the video where I showed you my thrifted haul, and it really was a mess. The metal was sort of scuffed and almost rusted, and so I wanted to hit it with 2 different coats of spray paint. This technique is so easy to do. First, you start with a black primer, and you do go in pretty heavy, and then before it has a chance to dry, you sort of mist it with the gold, and what it does is it allows the 2 paint colors to dry together and sort of blend, and it creates a little bit more of an authentic brass satiny finish.
He left her slowly as his mind lost more every day. Quietly she walked beside and tended in her way. Now the bed he built for 2 is cold, but her memories have stayed. Because some things last forever, the love that never fades.
Finally, we're going to move over to the 9-drawer cabinet, and we're going to come in with a wicker scallop tray and some thrifted vintage books in the color scheme of the summer. I love using books to bring in a pop of color and a bunch of texture. And then we're just going to keep things simple with a glass floral arrangement and a simple candle. I love the way this area turned out.
Covers me today, in between the bliss and underneath the ache, in the tenderness, a single thread remains. It's deeper than a sentiment. It's a fierce and
So a lot of you guys know that I used to have a piano bench here, and typically I would just use that for extra seating and prop a couple of pillows up on it. But recently I decided to switch it out with this wicker trunk. Now this I've had for a long time. I actually thrifted this probably about 2 years ago for $12, and I have been using it in my spare room. In previous videos it has been featured on a front porch, but I think I want to bring it in here because I'm really loving the way it looks to have the dark wicker along with the blue and white. And so I decided I'm going to bring this in here. I put the piano bench up in my spare room, and we're going to put a few pillows on it and dress it up a little bit.
some things last forever, but love it never fades.
I'm so glad that you spent the day with me decorating today. I hope you enjoyed seeing how my blue and white summer living and dining room came out. Leave me a comment below and let me know what you think. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am so happy that you're here today. It has been a bit rainy here lately, and with all of the rain, I felt like it was a perfect time to start working on bringing in my blue and white decor for the summer season. So we're bringing in some cozy neutrals, some classic blue and whites, and the kitchen is ready. So let's get started. Hey guys, it's Jen. Welcome back. I'm happy you're here today. We're going to be tackling some more decorating for the summer. Last time we decorated together, we brought in some summer neutrals, and I really did love the way that looked, but I do tend to get bored with my home decor, and so I like to change things up very often. I love being able to do that because I buy most of the items either on super clearance price or I thrift them. So, don't feel like you have to go out every single season and buy new items all the time, but that is definitely something I really enjoy doing, is just making swaps as the months go along to bring in a little bit of a different look. And this time around, I am trying my hand at blue. Now, if you've been around for a while, you know that in the past I had mentioned I was not a big fan of blue, but you guys, it has grown on me so much over the last 2 months since I started planning for my summer decorating. And so before the summer gets away from me, I want to bring in some blues for the season. So let's get started over here next to the refrigerator. So typically I start here beside the fridge. I'm going to bring in a tray that's going to warm up the color of the white backsplash and the white countertops. And then to that, I'm just going to add a simple stoneware pitcher along with these really beautiful white cosmos. I think they're great for summer, but actually they could be good for all seasons just because they're so neutral. And then along with that, I'm going to add in a touch of blue with some of my new thrifted cookbooks. It's always nice to have cookbooks in the kitchen. They're great for functionality, of course, but also for beautiful pops of color in your decor. And then behind the white cosmos, I wanted to bring in a little bit of neutral. I'm still kind of new with using blues, and so I was trying to find ways to complement the blue with some neutral colors to kind of balance it out. And then I'm going to use this really cute white creamer to hold my coffee spoons, and I think this is a really nice look, but it did need a little bit more blue, so I'm going to come in with this blue willow. Actually, I have 2 of these. I'm going to stack them, and then I'll use these to display my candles here on the tray. I should be the last to know we're all in this. I stand alone. Show me where the end. Now, some of you guys know that recently I added this magnetic curtain rod to the side of my refrigerator, and I really love being able to add in some texture with some hand towels or even just little functional items like this dish scrubber. And I think it just kind of livens up the side of the refrigerator a little bit and brings a little bit more interest, and just gives me one more place to bring in the color of the season. So keeping it simple here with this blue hand towel. And then I also wanted to share with you guys that I made some changes here at my window because I kind of got tired of the valance that I had here previously. So my husband put up this really cute curtain rod. It kind of looks like a cafe curtain rod. And this is just a hand towel that I picked up at Target. And then, of course, we're just going to bring in some functional items, our paper towel and our soap here beside the sink. You got to have that, guys, because, the kitchen is a working zone. But once the functional items are in, then we'll bring in some more beautiful decor. We're coming over here in the coffee station, and this is a scallop tray that I actually really love. I got this at Home Goods, but I also found a secondary one on Amazon, so I will link it below. And inside of the scallop tray, I'm going to bring in another pop of light blue here with this little lamp. I love having little lamps in the coffee area. That way I don't have to put on the bright overhead lighting for early morning coffee time.
Wings are beating, baby, me and you alone. Pencil drawing phases of the moon. All through
So moving over to the other side of the stove, I'm going to use some cutting boards just to bring in a little bit of warmth onto the white backsplash and countertop. And then this beautiful blue utensil crack I picked up at Home Goods a while back, but it's the perfect shade of blue. You guys, one of the reasons why in the past I have felt like blue wasn't right for me is because I always found that blue had cool undertones, and I have always leaned towards liking warm undertone colors. So this shade of blue is perfect for me. And then beside it, I'm gonna bring in a pop of gold and some battery powered remote control candles that I have set on a timer. These come on at night and they're so pretty here in this space. This little pottery piece is a cute way to display a little bit of soft greenery, and these blue florals that I picked up at Goodwill are perfect. Now I love having this little vintage looking braided brass candle holder here. And then on the side of the front entry where the door is here, I like having this little box for keys or small items that I can just put in this box on my way in. Now we're moving on to the hutch, and I'm just gonna bring in a few key pieces. This is where you'll see more of those classic blue and white patterns. So I'm gonna keep things pretty simple. And then on the opposite side, we'll be bringing in a little bit of that hobnail white glass. Originally, I had thought it was milk glass, but so many of you guys had mentioned that it was actually Fenton, and that was actually very helpful. I appreciate you guys leaving me those comments. On the bottom shelf is where we're bringing in that classic blue and white. I actually thrifted this on the day that last week's thrift video went live. It was $3.99, and it was such a beautiful piece that I thought it would be great here in the hutch. And finally, some neutral florals in this blue and white ginger jar to finish off the hutch.
Who told you that it was too late? When was it that you started?
Okay, so now that the hutch is finished, I want to share with you guys my idea for this really adorable lampshade. Now I know I shared this with you last week. This was an item that I had thrifted, and it did come with a base, but I didn't like the base, so I said I was kind of toying around with some ideas on how I wanted to use this. And one of the things that came across my mind when I was thrifting is I found this really beautiful Bombay brass candlestick holder. Now, this probably had a glass shade on it at one point because it has those pieces sticking up. So I'm going to use this candle holder as the base for this adorable blue and white lampshade. How cute is that? This is going to end up on the stool beside the hutch. And then beside that, I'm just gonna take this. Remember, had said I had intended on using it as a planter. I'm just gonna pop a little bit of neutral baby's breath in here, just for a little texture and warmth. And then we're gonna set this beside that blue and white lampshade. I think it's gonna be so cute.
This stubborn kudzu just covers these.
So the last place that we're gonna decorate before we take a final look is the coffee bar, microwave area. I've got a couple of shelves here behind me. I'm going to try to bring in some blue, but I wanna keep things a little bit more neutral. I wanna use some stoneware and not so much of the crisp blue and white, but instead bring in a little bit of those muted, softer tones, maybe some pottery pieces. So we're gonna start over here on the top shelf. I wanna keep the top shelf pretty simple. I've got a lot of items that I plan to try to display on this second shelf. So the top shelf is going to have a few pieces of pottery and a really beautiful thrifted art print. And then when we move down to the second shelf, you'll see I've got a little more busyness and a little more interest in pattern going on. And so I think this is a really good way to balance out the two.
This is a part of it all. Could you hike back to it, fight with it, sit with it? This is a part of it all.
I'm gonna place this little tray here as almost like a backsplash or a backdrop. I like the pattern and I really wanted that to show, and every time I placed it down on the flat surface as a tray, the pattern really kind of disappeared. So I thought this was a fun way to bring in that blue and white pattern. This crock was one that I thrifted a while ago, and I love that it had that simple blue and white pattern on it with the striping. But then, you know, on the other side, the pattern is not ideal for the look I'm going for. But you guys, when you're thrifting, it's definitely easy to overlook items that have these patterns on them that you don't like, but always turn it around and see what the back looks like, because I really like the shape of this item and I thought it was a perfect piece to add into my blue and white decor. Hi friends, thanks again for joining me today. We are doing a silent home tour, so I hope you will grab your favorite beverage and sit back and relax and enjoy the tour. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you are having a wonderful week, and I will see you in the next one.